Ladies and gentlemen, g'day, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Economics Mate, and welcome to another video here in World of Tanks Blitz. If you are new here, consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video, and tell me in the comments down below what you'd like to see next. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Onwards and upwards, the Project Murat, a very interesting tank indeed. It is a tier 10 French medium tank with a very interesting armor profile as well as a very interesting tank design. Having a look at the tank, it has a gun where it basically has 9 degrees of gun depression, which is fantastic. It's a 120mm gun, but it has 370 alpha, which is very weird. So yeah, it's only 370 alpha, but it's still a 120mm gun, which means you can overmatch certain things. I mean, what's more to say? Realistically speaking, I think this tank is very interesting, but also pretty good for what it is. I wouldn't recommend it for people who are new to the game or newer players. It's definitely a skill-based tank, and the whole line, in fact, those 4 new tanks are definitely skill-based. You need to know how to play, light tank-ish medium tanks, especially French light tanks and medium tanks. You need to know how to play those tanks realistically in order to get to that level of confidence with this tank. That would be my honest opinion. So I would definitely not recommend it for someone who's just starting to play the game, but for someone who's playing the game for a while, who understands, the basics of light tank and medium tanks, go ahead. This tank is fantastic. As I said, it's a 120mm gun. Average alpha is 370 on your standard rounds. It's not the best, realistically speaking, for a 120mm. I mean, freaking the Leo 1 does about 370 on average with its 105mm. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. But there is a high possibility that you might be able to get a high roll, but who knows. It has a 62 km/h speed limit going forwards and 25 going backwards, which is really nice. So 21 going backwards rather. It's quite nice. It's got quite a nice amount of acceleration and top speed. However, the armor profile on this thing is interesting to say the least. As I said, perfect example perfect comparison of this tank would be the Leo 1. The Leo 1 is incredible, by the way. If you don't have it, you need to get it. It's an amazing tank. The Leo 1 is a perfect example of a tank that's big, like this tank, has a fantastic gun, not as much as, obviously, it's got a much better gun than this tank has, but you get what I'm trying to get. You get what I'm trying to say here. It has a fantastic gun, and on top of that, it's big, but it doesn't have a lot of armor. So this tank in particular has only 50mm on the front on its hull, 35mm on the side, and 30 on the rear. So you will be overmatched by so many tanks. It's not even funny, especially if a tank has over 150mm in terms of its gun size. You're going to get overmatched all day of the week, right? Your turret, on the other hand, is 210mm on the front. It's quite strong. On the side, it's only 65, and on the rear, it's only 65, but nonetheless, it's still quite strong, which means you can actually go hold down because it's got 9 degrees of gun depression, which is quite nice. However, it only has 15 degrees of gun elevation, so not the best. The view range on this tank is quite good. The view range is 265 meters, which is very nice. But again, it's not as good as some of the other medium tanks at tier 10, unfortunately, but it's doable. You can probably increase it using binoculars rather than using a camo net, I would reckon, if you're using your equipment. It does have emergency track mechanism, which is very nice, which means you can repair your tracks a lot faster than what you would normally do. And you do have 2 rounds in the clip, so essentially it takes about 16 seconds to reload your full magazine. That's considering you're not running vents. If you're running vents, it goes down to about 14 to 13.5 seconds, which is really nice. It's a 2.4 second intra-clip reload, which is fantastic, which means you can basically shoot shots off really nice and really in quick succession, which is fantastic. It does have 0.36 dispersion on its gun, unfortunately, so it's not the most accurate of guns, but it does have a very nice aim time. It's quite quick in terms of that. And yeah, what else is there to say about this tank? As I said, it's very skill based. You need to peekaboo with this tank. This tank is very much about peekabooming. It's about getting up there, spotting your tanks, if you have the opportunity, fire and get the hell out of there. Do not stay, do not brawl in this tank. This tank is not a brawler. It doesn't have the armor profile to brawl, especially when coming up against heavy tanks and coming up against other medium tanks. You do not have the armor profile to brawl in this tank like you do, let's say, in a T62A or an Object 140. Or a T22 medium, for instance, right? A lot of the, or the Caro 45T. All these tanks, they have great armor profiles. You can brawl in them as medium tanks, but you can't do it in the Project Murat. So, as I said, I would suggest, don't stay out in the open. You got a huge hole up, by the way, so your hole is easily pennable. Try not to get targeted, basically. You want to get in there, like in this replay right here, right, with this player _purple_ from the Ellipse clan, right? He's doing a fantastic job here, trying to keep himself from not being exposed. But you can see how big the tank is, right, when being compared to the mouse, right? The mouse is not a small tank. The mouse is a massive tank. Look how big the Project Murat is in comparison to the mouse. It's insane. it's quite big. So you're a massive target. You're gonna get targeted easily. Like, there's no chance. By the way, Purple is doing he's had a fantastic match, by the way. Unfortunately, this does end in a defeat, but he plays exceptionally well. It is a mastery. He has 3 kills, and he's got over 7,000 damage, which is oh so nice in this tank. And goes to prove just how good this tank can be when put into the right hands, that's for sure. But I will have to say, it's massive. Like, oh my god, it's huge, this tank. And he got wrecked. At the end of it, he does end up dying, unfortunately. It says BS at the end. But it's a defeat. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, onwards and upwards. I love you all. Look after yourselves. Look after your wives and family. I recommend getting this tank. It's really, really nice. And again, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.
Thank you all for watching. And a massive, massive thank you for all subscribing. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.